Okay, well now we're ready to feed our bin. And we've actually gone from one bin, we've been able to double it into 2 bins. And with all the worms that we can actually pull out of our castings, we could probably get 3 or 4 more bins going. So you can see they're pretty prolific. I got a old rotten watermelon from one of my suppliers. And we're gonna put that in because worms really like that. And then I have friends who drop off their scraps, which I process. And so we're gonna just make sure all of this looks like good worm food. And it really does. In fact, we've got some melon rinds, which they love, and coffee grounds, and the filter. All that can go right in. And an apple core. So this is perfect worm food. I'm really pleased. And whoever dropped this off, I've got 5 customers, so I'm not quite sure who it is. And then we're just going to give it a chop. Just into smaller pieces. You don't need to make it into a mush. I like to feed my bin once a week. Then I can really track how well they're doing on eating the food. So we'll just stick in, this is kind of wet stuff, so we might need to maintain our moisture with some extra bedding. So we'll make sure that goes in about half of it. And you can see we're going to do just a thin layer on half the bin. And then we're going to cover that up with some brown. And there's different options. Of course, you can use newspaper. And get it nice and fluffed up. You can also use egg cartons. I'm probably going to recycle this part, the top. But these cups are excellent. They also give some aeration. And again, that watermelon is really wet, so I'm going to make sure that I put in a lot of good bedding to sop that up. And then if you are so lucky enough to have leaf mold, that is my favorite because it's all natural and you know exactly what you're putting in. So we're going to do a final covering. This is quite a bit of bedding. Typically you're going to do 1 part greens, which we filled up to about here. So you'd be filling up about that same amount of browns. But since we're just getting this bin going, we'll give it a little extra bedding. And then you can use kind of a moist newspaper blanket that can just sit right on the top like that to keep everything tidy. I've also come upon these in some of the scavenging work I do, and it just so happens to fit perfectly in there. So I'm going to put that one in there. We grab our lids. Now if you're going to put your lid all the way on and you open it and it's covered with condensation and moisture, that means your bin's too wet and you're going to need to give it a crack. I typically always leave mine cracked, and especially since I put in that watermelon. So now we've got 2 working worm bins. We're feeding all of this food scraps and we're keeping it out of the landfill. We're making beautiful vermicompost and we have healthy, happy plants.